Someone sent me an email or called and said, the final is optional, correct? Which got me to thinking about, I wonder what the grades are in this class. So since I can't tell you after the semester ends, which is next Thursday night, I can tell you right now that everybody has an A. Some of you by the skin of your teeth, but you have an A. Admit to nothing, James. And so what I wanted to do was get us started on a project that we will carry through to Advanced Database. And there are some deliverables that you're going to get to make as we do this, but I think you'll find it interesting, and we'll do it from an Oracle SQL standpoint tonight, Tuesday, and Thursday, and then we'll convert it, and it will actually be your final for Advanced Database, and we'll use PL SQL and all the good stuff that we have learned through the second 8 weeks. So we'll get started. I assume since the recording segment went away that we are actually recording. What I want to do is get started, and the idea behind this is that we have been asked as a quasi-database company to design a checking account for a small firm. And they don't want to use Quicken or any of the bookkeeping software. They want their database designed so they can monitor their checking account. So logically, the first way for us to start would be to do a little mind mapping. And we're going to start this and then you get to finish it, all right, and turn in what your ideas are. So the first rule of mind mapping, if you'll remember when we did this back at the beginning of the semester, was for 5 minutes or so, we'll throw out ideas. So if we're going to develop a checking account, no idea is a bad idea. What do we want to have in that checking account?
Money.
Account number, okay. And James said money, or Chris said money. Yeah, it works a lot better with money. What else?
Customer name.
Customer name.
Account number.
Nope, no negative comments. Okay, so we can add customer ID also. Now I know why that went out that way.
Yeah, don't want to call your customer number 45972 every time you need.
Yeah. All right, what else?
Age.
Referring to age of what?
Customer and age of the account.
Ah, very good.
Because I don't think I would give a $10 million loan to someone that's 112. I'm just saying.
I'm good for it.
even if he has had an account for 111 years.
Joking.
I'm sorry those of you who are watching this off of Canvas are missing the background comments, which are very entertaining. All right, what else other than age?
Whether they have a savings account backing up.
What else?
Contact information.
Oh, good one. Let's put that one up here off of customer.
You're going to have to start using the other side of your idea balloon there.
Yeah.
Overdraft. If it's applicable.
Okay.
That would be going if you have a savings account.
You can do an overdraft from your checking account too.
Well, I mean, you have to have somewhere to draw
What else? We're developing a checking account for a business. What else are they going to want to track?
Product line.
Suppliers, if you're going to, if it's like hot dog stand, you're gonna wanna know who your suppliers are. We'll go with hot dog stand for sure.
Period. Hot dogs only.
Okay, what else?
Um,
Well, I guess if it's for a business, you'll need, certain people who are, I guess, law approved to do transactions, like with the bank, like withdrawals and whatever else.
your money people.
There you go.
Accountants, I think is what they're called, accountants. Or mutants,
You have
if you will.
accountants and you have,
Approval process.
Yeah.
PP, two Ps.
you know,
Okay, what else?
I can't think of the right term for it, but it's basically making references to the department. Which one is profit and which one is
Debt,
Hmm?
profit and debt.
No. Which departments are used for profit and which ones are used as
Income and expense, is that what
Right,
you're
they're
thinking?
Well, like with Course Lab, when I used to work there, the drafting department was not considered a part of the overhead, or it was considered part of the overhead. So we had to take them, try and remain in black as much as possible. Whereas if we were considered profit, or we were considered profit, not overhead. If we were considered profit, we had to remain in black because anything we took and went over was taken away as a profit, which the company kept looking down on. Whereas if we were considered overhead, we would have been just adding on to the bill that we're giving the customer. Because the customer would always come back and say, oh, well, we want you to move the wall over here 5 feet, and we would have to go and change all the drawings and everything down the way because of a last-minute decision by the customer. But I don't know what the technical term for it is.
How about if we say overhead versus expense center versus income? Okay. What else?
Departments themselves. If it's a checking account, who's using the most money?
So a department breakup. What else?
Budget limit.
Okay.
In that case, where you have the money and everything, do you want to consider that the profit, or is that just how much is in the account at any given time?
Probably what's in the account at any given time.
Okay, then how about profit?
Okay.
How far are you above the black or red or wherever?
how about net income, basically?
Well, if the dollar sign is representing how much physical cash they have on hand at that point, then you also need something to take and
Well, to decide how much, how much you have after expenses, which is net income.
What else?
Well, if you're gonna have profit, you gotta have deficit. Or losses.
I can fit loss in there. All right, what else? Doesn't really make any difference. All they want us to do is set up a checking account database for them. Okay. Well, I would think that would be approval.
Our employees, we kind of want to pay them. Well, we don't really want to pay them. We kind of have to pay them.
Yes, but I think you have to require to pay.
Okay, so you want employees in there?
Put employees in their own little bubbles so they're their own separate entity.
Yeah, I can already see a few of them that literally go out to their own little bubbles and fire off from there.
Yeah. What else?
Probably date of the transaction made.
You get a gold star, William.
There you go. Actually, do my presentation on transactions now.
Yeah.
I would have gotten to it eventually. I'm still trying to process everything else that's in the bubble. Let's see. What else is in the bubble? Well, if this is a big enough company, we might want to let our shareholders know what their actual shares are worth.
But deposits, we gotta have deposits.
Okay, wait a minute. Share.
Yeah, deposits would be good too.
And Cameron, you said deposits?
Yeah. Because not everything's gonna be with a check that you're writing out, you know.
I was going to make a crack about my wife's business, but since this will be on the internet,
There's a possibility of getting back to her.
yeah,
Everything is on the
In
internet.
that case.
All right.
everything's on the internet.
Don't forget the all important thing, tax.
Yes.
Oh,
IRS code.
The lingering black
Although I think
cloud.
the IRS went underneath employees.
How about if we do it this
Some
way? Tax.
accounts actually provide interest, so that you know.
Interest income.
Old gremlins that nibble at your paycheck every month.
Okay, believe it or not, James, obviously you have one last comment.
Your bank info. Unless you are a bank. But even then, if you're a bank, then you'd want the FDIC info. So, I mean,
Can you swing your arms any crazier?
yes indeed I can actually.
I probably recommend doing it around those computers.
And do the Harlem Shake.
Okay. Somebody hold James's arms down. Anything else? All right, would you believe that we did that in 15 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Now, come on, open up. There we go. This is the idea was to create a checking account database for a business. Does anybody have a check with them? Okay, let's do it this way then. What's on a check? Start at the top. What's the first thing you usually fill in? Date.
Date.
Who you're paying.
Recipient.
Recipient, yeah.
Payee.
Personal info.
Oh, hold on.
Okay.
Payment.
The amount. Are you bringing a check up, James?
Yes, indeed I am.
Okay. What else?
Account number.
Who is on it was basically who is on the
Well, it's signature block, right?
Yes.
Routing number.
But does that change?
No.
And does the account information about the individual change?
No, in that case, the account number wouldn't change either.
Right. Account number wouldn't change. All right, what else is on there? Just one other item.
Hopefully the note or the
Memo.
memo.
Before. Check number block
So you
too.
remember what it was for.
All right. So this, where we looked at everything that we could come up with the checking account, was very good and very creative. All right. But when we start to boil it down, instead of going through and eliminating, we'll do it this way. When we start to boil it down, really all we need to look at is the information that we've got here in blue, and what we need to take out is probably the account number, because that's not going to change. But every time the company writes a check, they'll have a date, they'll have a payee, they'll have an amount, they'll have who signed the check, which they may or may not want to record, they'll have a memo field and a check number. If I have just this data right here, could I recreate a transaction fairly well? Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to blue. What's the other thing that we have in a checking account?
Now, are we talking about static stuff this time?
Nope, nope. We write checks and we do what to a checking account?
Deduct or increase.
We
endorse.
We deposit. What do we need in the deposit?
Amount.
Account number, deposit,
Okay, but that's going to stay constant.
From. Who it's from.
Who it's from,
And what it's for. As well as the date.
And cash receipt.
Well,
Okay,
we're assuming
we'll go
that
this
the
way.
check is valid.
Take 100 here, take 100 there.
all right, when you look at the check and you look at the deposit, they're all literally all the same except what?
the payee and from. Those are different.
Yeah, that could be, but it's still a name, right?
Yeah, it's still a text.
Okay.
Field and stuff, but it's a Visa.
All right, let's do it this way. Do we have a date on the check?
Yes.
Do we have a date on the deposit?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have an individual's name on the check that indicates either who it's from or who it's to, or who it's to?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Do we have a name on a deposit as to who it's from?
Yes.
So we've got a name on a check or a deposit. Okay. Maybe that could say name. Do we have an amount on both?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Do we have a signature block, so to speak?
Yes.
Yes. Or we could say, yeah. Okay. Do we have a memo field on both? Yes. Do we have a check number? Or deposit number? Very good. Okay. So when we look at our database that we could design for a checking account, all we would need initially would be a table that would contain the date the name of either who the check went to or who the deposit was from, the actual amount, signature block. If it's a small company, we could take that one out if we wanted to. We'd have a memo on both for what maybe it was from or to, and we would have a check number on both, wouldn't we? Or some kind of depositor number.
See, when I deposit stuff, a lot of times I'll use deposit slips and stuff that are at the bank. I don't use
Okay.
deposit slip that's from my checking book and stuff, which,
Okay.
those deposit slips don't have numbers on the ones that are.
Okay, but you could generate a number. Okay.
I mean, when you go and actually run the deposit, it'll generate a number.
So when we look at this, what is really the only difference between a deposit and a check?
Plus or a minus?
Give that man a gold star. Plus or a minus. If we are taking money out of the checking account, the value is a minus. If we're putting money into the checking account, theoretically, unless you have really creative bookkeeping, the value is a plus. Okay? So, we look at our Oracle and we can come up with a process where we can use one table to indicate transactions against a checking account, a very simplified bookkeeping form. And so what we need to look at now is how do we add and subtract in Oracle? All right? And right now we're going to do it just with SQL, and it can be done, and that's what I'm going to show you. So what we look at is a statement called sum that's right here on the slide. Very easy. If I wanted to find out the total credit limit of the employees in the L underbar employee table, my statement would be select sum, parent credit limit from L underbar employees. And Oracle will go through and total the dollar value or the number value in that attribute. All right? So the question we have to ask is, what if we want to add just positive numbers? What if we want to sum just negative numbers? What would we do? Audience participation. No, James, you probably know the answer. Guesses?
Tell us to select any sum that's above 0.
Okay. How would we do that? All right, James. Where clause, exactly. So we could say, if we wanted to look at all of our deposits, we could use the select and sum the credit limit where the credit limit is greater than 0, right? Conversely, if we wanted to find out what we paid out, we could do a credit limit less than 0. And that would tell us all the checks we sent out. Now think about this one. What happens if we take the where clause out and we've got both plus and negative numbers in there? What do we get? No, James. Cameron?
Well, I could get the total and stuff.
Exactly. Very good. You're going to get the current balance in the checking account, right? So very easy way. Now, is this a really sexy report, transaction report printed out? No. All we are looking at is what is the dollar the current dollar amount that we have in the account. What's the value of all the checks that we've written? What's the value of all the deposits? Quick quiz. What if I wanted to see every transaction that's in there?
You'd have to hit the select. What would it be all? Select sum, print.
You could.
Print.
Yeah, you could. Could do it that way. I could do a select distinct. James, what were you thinking?
I'd put select credit limit, comma, sum credit limit.
Yeah, you could do that too. Works very well. All right, let's look at how it's done. Start off with select sum from credit limit, and here you can see the value we get is 210. All right. So if you look at the L under bar employee table, the credit limits that they have filled in total 210. What is the problem with this concept? Well, think a little more theoretical. You're right, but think more theoretical. What's the problem with this?
There's a lot of credit limits that are below zero.
Yeah. How do we handle nulls? We skip them, right. So in this sum process, the problem we have is we have no way to account for a null. A check that's been written and we forgot the amount, or a deposit that was made and we forgot the amount. Now in PL SQL, we'll be able to handle that, but in just straight SQL, we can't deal with that. All right, so this is the basic principle, the sum principle. All right, if we want to look at the values less than 0 in the current table, we run a sum and it comes up with there are no values less than 0. Cameron?
Could you also just write additional things where not null?
Yes, you could, but we get this in the second 8 weeks. Oracle automatically skips a null. It will not include it. There are ways to force it to do that or force it to absolutely skip them and not include it in anything, but we'll learn that the second 8 weeks, okay? Good point, though. All right, so it came up with null because right now we have no values less than 0. There is a null in this table, but Oracle, SQL doesn't have any way to handle it right now. So it just reports that there are no values less than 0. All right, so remember chapter 6? We come in here and we'll update employees, and for, I think it's Harvey Kunkelmeyer or whoever, employee number 207, we're going to give him a negative credit limit. All right, he's got to pay us 25 bucks before he can eat in a cafeteria. We don't trust him. Okay, so real quick, remember the update statement from chapter 6. Real quick, very simple here, and I've got one row updated. Now, if I do a credit limit less than 0 again, now I get a minus 25. Okay. If I do a credit limit greater than 0, remember before it was 210, now I get 185 because we took employee 207 and made his credit limit a negative balance. And knowing that and that little SQL statement of sum and the idea of using where and a less than and greater than sign, you could create a very simple database to track your checking account. So, questions, first of all? No questions?
I was also thinking, so
Well, we can't do cases though, and the question was, could we run it through a case to check what we're doing? And in SQL, we can't do cases. So, hang on, you'll see how we do this. What I want you to do over the weekend, you're going to get snowed in Saturday anyway, theoretically. I'd like you to create a data dictionary that contains the attributes that you would use for our checking account table. Okay? And print them out, bring them in. The easiest way to do it, put it into Excel. Attribute, data type, explanation of what it does, and any limits that you have on it. Okay? So give that a shot. I'll bring in the one I created for the checking account, and Tuesday night we'll go from here and we'll start to create the tables. Now, let me caution you. Some of you may want to jump ahead and add this into the database that's already there. Don't do that, because part of this is I'm going to show you how to create a brand new Oracle database and what's involved with that. So just be patient. Come back Tuesday night for the second installment. All right? So turn in your data. You'll turn in your data dictionaries Tuesday night in class when we start. Have a safe weekend.